This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
Pano, thank you so much for the opportunity. Allow me ask the last farmer the following questions, and I want strictly a yes or no answer. Do you know who attacked who first in the Russia-Ukraine war?
That doesn't
Hurry
need
up,
yes or
please.
no answer.
Do you know who attacked Russia and you? Do you know who attacked who in the Russia-Ukraine war?
Yes or no?
Does the other country face more adverse effects than the country that has been attacked?
Depending on who wins the war.
I said yes or no strictly. Did you give us how you are going to promote your peace?
Yes, we did.
Did your first speaker talk of limitation in the supply of weapons?
Yes, for countries which are poor.
Thank you so much. Was Russia sanctioned?
On which grounds?
Do countries also have the right to defend themselves?
Yes,
thank you so much. Are you aware of why Russia is fighting Ukraine?
Yes.
Do you consider brotherhood in war? Are you aware of the inefficiency of ICG? Thank you, ICJ. Thank you so much. Now you can take your seat. Now, Pano, the farmers have told us very well that they are aware of who attacked Russia, who attacked who in the Russia-Ukraine war. Of course, you are very well aware that it is Russia that attacked Ukraine. And we as the negators have come in to bring our policy in self-defense. That is when we are justifying wars. Russia attacked Ukraine first. It is only justifiable that Ukraine fights back for her rights. Do you know how Ukraine has suffered the adverse effects of this war? Do you know how many buildings have been destroyed in Ukraine? And you do not expect Ukraine to fight war because you are not justifying war. Ukraine is just by fighting for the rights of her people. Ukraine is fighting for the rights of her country. Ukraine is a country that is a sovereign country. It has the right to make its own decisions. Russia does not want Ukraine to join NATO, but we are very well aware that each country has its own sovereignty. Therefore, Ukraine, if it wants to join NATO, it should be able to join. Are we looking at why? The reason for this was honestly the negative. The farmers, I do not understand you. I asked the farmers if they consider brotherhood, they said yes. Now, as you attack me and you expect me to think that there is brotherhood in your attacking of me, there is no brotherhood here. That is why even us, we are justifying ourselves because we are attacking in self-defense. As we are protecting ourselves, we are protecting our human rights, the human rights of our own people. Our farmers have failed to realize that even the states that have been attacked at first have suffered even more adverse effects. I've given you the example of the Russia-Ukraine war. Ukraine has suffered more adverse effects in this. And if Ukraine is fighting back for her rights, then it is only justified. There are farmers. We have asked the farmers over and over again to tell us how they are going to promote peace. They have failed to give us that. I do not know how they want us to promote peace by just saying, peace, please, come and reign in our lives. You are going to come and attack me in self-defense. Do you expect me to turn the left cheek so that you also accept that one as well? Of course, by virtue of you have attacked me, I have to attack you back because I have to protect myself. I have to fight for myself. I have to defend myself. Are you aware of the inefficiency of ICJ? ICJ, up to today, the ICJ has failed to conduct some of its mandates. The ICJ has, we have CON. The ICJ has failed to find out where CON is up to today. They came and told us that there is limitation of supply of weapons, which is, by the way, a sanction. Now, we very well know that a sanction was applied to Russia, which did not work. Up to today, the war is still continuing because the sanction has not even yielded anything. They told us of supply of weapons, which was a sanction, and that's how I've quoted them. Countries have the right to defend themselves. For example, in the Sabasaba war that took place in 1979, honestly, did Tanzania deserve to fight for the rights of her territories that were being taken away by Uganda? Uganda had attacked Tanzania, and you expect Tanzania to sit down and relax and say, please, peace, let us take the court to ICJ. When our territories are being attacked and taken away, we have to act immediately because we have to defend ourselves. We believe in our sovereignty as countries because we know that we have that right as countries to defend ourselves. Every country has the right to defend their sovereignty. Then they're here driving us in effects with no strategy at all. Dear Pano, how do we expect these people to come and tell us that they cannot justify war when there is no strategy? A speaker once said that at every point, one has to spit on his hands and slit some throats because all of us at one time have that point in our lives where we cannot cross the limit anymore. Thank you so much. I rest my case.
Absence of war does not necessitate peace. For this reason, we come under geopolitical wars. This house believes that war should never be justified. Baba Zio Preston Miracle, fourth farmer. Fourth speaker, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
How are you?
Go straight to the point.
Are you okay?
Straight to the point.
I am asking a question. Are you okay? Thank you. She's afraid of answering the question. Is there a war right now where you are?
No.
Thank you. So if you had told me you are fine, if you had told me state of mind, we would know how it is influenced by the war, but you're afraid of answering the question. I go on. This is a yes or no question. The air you breathe, does it cause you radiation poisoning?
How is air I'm breathing related to the
Does the air you breathe cause you radiation poisoning?
How is air that I'm breathing?
Does the air you breathe... Yeah, just take note of
No.
that. Thank you. Is radiation poisoning fatal?
No.
Thank you. Nuclear weapons cause radiation poisoning, yes or no?
No.
Thank you. You are familiar with the incidents in Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Yes.
Thank you. Are the effects still being felt now?
No.
Thank you. Do you know what geopolitical wars are?
Yes.
Thank you. Which case did my team present? Backed by the International Court
Now,
of
if you do
Justice
not
or
know
the
your own
International...
case, then why are you asking me
Answer
to
the
present
question.
your own case?
Your time
I've
is-
answered.
Okay. Ukraine was fighting a war of self-defense, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Did Ukraine launch missiles into Russia?
Pardon?
Did Ukraine launch missiles into Russia?
Yes.
Thank you. Self-defense of launching missiles, I don't see how that works. Imperialism is wrong, yes or no?
No.
Thank you. They believe in imperialism, trying to control us all. We can see what the negatives are up to today. Hiroshima and Nagasaki was to spread imperialism, correct?
No.
Thank you. Statements made with that proof are referred to as propaganda, yes or no?
Pardon?
Statements made with that proof are referred to as propaganda.
They are not.
Thank you. After the Pearl Harbor incident, on 2nd March, the United States bombed Tokyo, killing over 8,000 people in one night, correct? Well, I think we have seen the answer. Dear judges, I'd like to inform you, I asked the negators whether the air they breathe causes them radiation poisoning. They said no. Whether radiation poisoning is fatal. We all know radiation poisoning is fatal. I asked them whether nuclear weapons cause radiation poisoning. They don't know the answer. Yes, nuclear weapons cause radiation poisoning. As seen in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Hiroshima and Nagasaki are still experiencing effects up to today. Leukemia, cancer, and deformed children born with deformities. Why? Because of nuclear bombs dropped during a war. So if they're happy with where they're living their lives right now, without radiation poisoning, breathing clean air, why do they come to support wars which have fatal effects? We're seeing in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, people are still being born deformed. People are being born with leukemia, with cancer. Why? Because of the effects of the war. This is according to www.britannica.com. The bombs are dropped on 6th August and 9th August 1945. But up to now, we are in April 2023. From 1945 to 2023, we're still feeling the effects of the war. Why would you come and back wars when you see the negative effects of the wars already? Since World War II, of the 200 recorded wars, 150 million people have died, 80% of whom are civilians, according to www.bbc.co.uk. Why would the negators come here and support wars when we are seeing civilians are dying? The Sabasaba wars which you talked about, people died, civilians died, people, and couldn't they resolve their conflicts peacefully? This is why we are the ICJ. The ICJ would sense its conflicts to the UN, would call them to a round table and they would discuss the issues. There would be no room for conflict. You would not need to enforce peace if there was no war. Absence of war does not necessitate peace. So we would come and notice if there's any tension in the countries. We would see Uganda deploying troops, and we would come and mediate between them to stop these conflicts. The Nigeria Biafran War of 1967, about 100,000 combatants and over 2 million civilians were killed. 2 million civilians. Who is going to come and live in your world? You're saying you're supporting wars. Who will fight your wars when everyone is dead? 2 million civilians have been killed. 4.5 million people have been displaced. If you've displaced everyone, who's going to fight your wars? The people of Japan did not want to surrender totally. That is why they were nuked. All they wanted to do was retain their emperor. But you come and say August 6th brought peace. America was trying to fight for imperialism. They dropped bombs on Tokyo, killing over 80,000 people in one night on 2nd March to retaliate Pearl Harbor. So I don't see what you say when you say the nukes were to retaliate Pearl Harbor. Dear judges, the negators have come to lie to us. I still arguing our case because geopolitical wars encompass international wars. So that you should just switch the chairs to our side because we're arguing the right side. We remain the affirmers of today and we tell you war should never be justified. Thank you.
I would like to begin to just clarify on a point. The ICC is not the same as the ICJ, team negative. They are different. Although both of them are in The Hague, Netherlands. Now, the resolution today states that this House believes that wars should never be justified. In other words, if Team Affirmative is to come here today, it is supposed to make sure it either preempts or responds duly in course to all justifications fronted for war by team negative. Team affirmative, I only began hearing reasonable justifications during the fourth speech. The team negative gives you justification for war in terms of self-defense. It gives you in terms of attack of state persons. It gives you attack in restoration of peace in a state. It gives you attack in terms of defending a neighbor. You were supposed to come and preempt all those grounds and show that they are still not justifiable. Team negative, I do not know whether you understand the extent to which the term geopolitical war means. A geopolitical war is waged for privatization of space. It is waged for territory. It is waged for resources. In other words, it is common knowledge, as my colleague likes to say, prima facie, the Russia-Ukraine war is a geopolitical war. I wanted you to come here and convince me about how the conflict between Amin Dada and Tanzania was a geopolitical conflict with far-reaching consequences in terms of territory, resources, and privatization. Geopolitical. Meaning that your actions in citing specific examples outside of the scope of geopolitical conflict violated their parameter. You may deny it, but not all wars are geopolitical conflicts. And in terms of that, your examples were supposed to show how they respect their parameter.
Yeah, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I want to begin by thanking both teams. It was really a nice argument. It was really a good debate. Really, I like the fact that you are not yet lawyers, but if people can come and give me statistics, people talk about the Geneva Conventions of 1949 and 1977. That is really credible, and then thumbs up to you. Now, this is just a piece of advice to any other person or to any other debate that is debating from today and some time to come. Ladies and gentlemen, whenever we are in a policy debate, and then you give your policy or you give your work plan or strategy or methods on how you are going to achieve what you're advocating for. For example, today's resolution, this House believes that war should never be justified. So team affirmative, we are not looking at war starting. We are looking before even the war starts. What are we going to do to make sure that this war does not start? We are not just looking at the effects of war. Yes, I like the fact that you came up with alternatives, for example, peace talks, arbitration. But then, this like when they came, they rebutted the issue of peace talks. They told you, yes, you are talking about the ICJ. But then we have seen delay of justice. Justice delayed is justice denied. So how about if you had even come with an illustration of mediation? Yes, the first speaker talked about it, but speaker roles are not inherent. So, whenever you give a policy, whenever you give a work plan, and your opponents come and draw loopholes in your policy or your work plan, the burden now shifts back to you to come and reinstate what you are advocating for. Otherwise, if you leave it hanging, it means you are creating a loophole in your own case. On those grounds, according to me, I give a win to team negative. I thank you.
So thank you so much. I appreciate the debaters in front of us. To be sincere, we always say when you come there, it's to make us learn, and also we make you learn from your mistake. You get my point? Which both teams you have made us at least get a word from what it is about. The kind of resolution which is at hand, that is a very rich kind of a resolution that was supposed to be having a far-fetched kind of a research. And that's where I ask the team affirmative, when you bring peace, just like my colleague has said, when you bring peace as an alternative, as a strategy, then how? I want to ask a question in this kind of a manner. We are lawyers, we know how the ICJ holds all these cases. An application to the ICJ takes 14 days. Are we hearing? Those are 14 days. If you're applying to the ICC, you apply for 28 days. Now, let's assume Uganda has invaded Kenya. Are we going to wait for the 14 days for the application to be approved That's not hearing the case, just that approval. And people are being killed. So you had a good strategy, but now question was, if we're implementing this piece, what next? My colleague has told you, you could use what we call mediation. ADR, alternative dispute resolution. Where now you talk between states, you be like, no, it has happened with agencies at this moment. What do? We are sorry. It's just kind of an abiding. We are using the ADR to just say we are sorry for what you have done. Let it stop from there. So your case was very built up and a good case, which your fourth speaker came and aligned it. But now it was too late. You get my point? I'm not saying it. You guys have performed all your roles. That's the truth. And now I credit the negators because they came at least and said, now, should we wait for people to also do all those nonsense and we are not just retaliating to it? And that's why my colleague has told you, war doesn't start when you're retaliating. The war starts with the first instance, the mens rea and the actus reu in the person. How do you start? That's where the war sparks. So it's of that's an unanimous judgment. The negators have the day with a 71% against a 68%. Thank you.